Today, we're going to unlock a really powerful way of seeing the world, all inspired by the incredible work of Donella Meadows. So welcome to your primer on thinking in systems.
You've been there, right? You roll out what seems like a totally brilliant fix, only to watch it completely backfire, or worse, create a whole new mess somewhere else. It's this super common frustration, but it actually points to a much deeper truth about how the world really works. You know, our first instinct is usually to look for some kind of external villain, maybe a competitor, a bad policy, or just a single bad event. But systems thinking, well, it forces us to look inward. It reveals that the real cause of our most stubborn problems is often woven right into the very fabric of the system itself. Donella Meadows had this brilliant analogy to explain this. Just think about a slinky. Why does it bounce and walk downstairs? The bouncing doesn't come from your hand pushing it. It comes from the structure of the slinky. And a system's behavior, just like that slinky's, is a product of its own internal design.
So a system isn't just a random collection of parts. It's a whole web of interconnections that creates its own distinct patterns. And here's the really crucial insight. A system's true purpose is simply what it does, no matter what its official mission statement might say.
So how in the world do we start to see this invisible structure? Well, we need a toolkit, and that toolkit is built on three surprisingly simple ideas: stocks, flows, and feedback loops. Come on, let's get our hands dirty.
Okay, this is the simplest way to picture a system. Think of a bathtub. The amount of water in it, that's the stock. It's kind of like the memory of the system, the accumulation of what's happened. The faucet is the inflow, and the drain is the outflow. These are the flows, and they're what make the stock change over time. Simple enough, right?
Now, this might seem super basic, but it leads to some really powerful insights. If more water comes in than goes out, the level rises. Obvious. But look at that last point. We almost always forget that we can fill the tub faster by just partially plugging the drain. You can increase your savings not just by earning more, the inflow, but by spending less, the outflow. It's a brilliant reminder that focusing on outflows can be just as powerful, if not more so.
And this is where the magic happens. Feedback loops are what make systems so dynamic and honestly so interesting. It's when the amount of water in the tub, the stock, actually starts to affect how fast the faucet or the drain is working. These are the rules of the game that drive the whole system's behavior.
And they really come in two fundamental types. You've got balancing loops, which are all about stability. They're trying to hit a goal. A thermostat is a perfect example. It turns the heat on when it's too cold and off when it's too hot, always trying to balance the room temperature. Then you have reinforcing loops. These are the engines of explosive growth or collapse. Think about compound interest in a bank account. The more money you have, the more interest you earn, which gives you even more money. They just amplify whatever's already happening.
All right, so now that we've got our toolkit, stocks, flows, and loops, we can start to diagnose what's going wrong. Let's use it to uncover a classic system trap. This is a pattern that explains why some of our most frustrating problems seem to happen again and again and again.
This quote, wow, it's powerful. It's from Garrett Hardin, and it introduces a really famous system archetype called the tragedy of the commons. It describes a situation where a bunch of people, all acting perfectly rationally in their own self-interest, end up completely destroying a shared resource for everyone.
Okay, check out the logic here, because it's just inescapable. Imagine a shared pasture for grazing cattle. For me, adding one more cow to that field is pure profit. The cost of that cow, a tiny bit less grass for everyone else's cows, is spread out among all the other herdsmen. So for me, the individual benefit is huge and the shared cost is tiny. The only rational choice for every single person is to add another cow, and then another, until the whole system collapses and the pasture is gone for good.
And this is the critical takeaway. The solution isn't to point fingers and blame individuals for being greedy. They're just playing the game by the rules they've been given. The only real way out is to change the rules of the game. You have to restructure the whole system so that what's good for the individual is also good for the group.
So this brings us to the master key, the million-dollar question. If we want to change a system, where do we push? Where's the best place to intervene? Because as it turns out, not all actions are created equal.
These sweet spots are called leverage points. Think of them like the acupressure points of a system. A small, well-placed push in just the right spot can ripple through the entire structure and create huge, lasting change.
Just take a look at this contrast. Fiddling with parameters, changing taxes, tweaking budgets, that's a pretty low leverage move. It can feel like you're doing something important, but it rarely changes the system's core behavior. But changing the goal of the entire system, now that is the highest form of leverage you can find. Just imagine if we shifted the goal of our whole economy from just GDP growth to something like human well-being. That single change in purpose would transform everything else that follows.
You know, at the end of the day, systems thinking isn't just a set of analytical tools. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. It's about moving away from this desire to control the world and moving toward a desire to work with it.
I just love this quote from Meadows. It suggests that true mastery isn't about being some puppet master pulling all the strings. It's more about being a dance partner. You have to listen to the rhythm of the system and then move with it, gracefully and effectively.
So how do we actually learn to dance with the system? Well, it starts with humility, right? Admitting we can never see the whole picture. It means we have to expand our time horizons, thinking not just about the next quarter, but about the long-term consequences. And maybe most of all, it means we have to listen, really listen, to the wisdom that the system is already trying to show us through its own behavior.
And that leaves us with a final thought. We are all part of countless systems in our families, our jobs, our communities. The first, most powerful step you can take is simply learning to see them. So what invisible structure, what hidden system will you make visible today?